on, guys? It's K-Dub here with another episode of Crypto Zombie. So today is Monday. That's right, back on the grind. Welcome back to the channel. Hope you had a great weekend. Bitcoin sitting pretty much exactly where it was 2 days ago. Really no change in the price. However, we did have some volatility this morning. In fact, you could see Bitcoin actually dipped all the way down to about $6,516. So the question is, was that the 6.5K bottom that everybody was talking about? Are we finally out of the woods? Was that it? Well, we did have a pretty intense V-shaped bounce back, but currently we are being hit with some heavy resistance. Now, keep in mind, all of this support that we previously had every time we would fall and we go sideways, fall and go sideways, well, all of those times are now going to be resistance, and that's what we're going to have to break through on the way up. So even if Bitcoin is able to essentially break out where we are right now, the next level is around that 7.3K level where we had that bottom just before the October 25th blast off. We're going to get into all that. Don't worry about it. Lots of stuff to go over today. Number one is Bitcoin dead? Is Bitcoin dying? So much negativity in the media and all over crypto Twitter, crypto YouTube, everywhere. We are going to talk about that. I also want to discuss a massive Bitcoin whale move. It was 44,000 Bitcoin, worth about $310 million at the time. We're going to talk about what that meant, and also the fact that Google searches are actually up recently for Bitcoin, even though the price is down. So if that sounds good to you, we're going to go into all that. And also, I do have some fundamental analysis at the very end. So if you're interested, stick around for that. Also, guys, today is Monday, which means we will be giving away a Ledger Nano S at the end of the video. If you missed your opportunity today, drop a comment on any video throughout the course of the week, and you are eligible for next Monday. Now, let's dive in. Let's have a look at what's going on. So currently, CoinMarketCap, you are noticing Bitcoin is up 0.4%, which is interesting. We've been hovering around the 66% for quite some time. Now, we do have some altcoins up today. Storium, very low volume, be careful. Fusion still up, Matic still going strong, Bytecoin, Cosmos, Riff, Educare, Hedge Trade, VeChain, and Nem, all doing quite well today. Hopping over and having a look at what's going on here in Coin Farm, pretty split down the middle. You can see it's kind of leaning a little bit towards the buys. I mean, obviously they did buy the bounce, so that's probably why we're having the slight buys over here. But essentially what I wanted to show you guys is we are still sitting slightly below the red zone. I would like to get back inside of this, very close to it, back above $7,214. That would be a lot good for Bitcoin to maintain above that short term. Now, you do notice that obviously we did lose the 200 daily. We are below the VPVR's biggest volume over here on the CME futures. And the other thing to note is that there was in fact a gap, even though you can't see it on the daily chart. You can tell right here that we actually closed at 7,330, and you could see that we opened at 7,050. So we actually would have to go back to that 7.3. It's actually $7,321 roughly to sort of close that CME gap. So could be a reason why we're seeing the bounce back today. Could also just simply be because, well, we're about due for a bounce, guys. And obviously we do have the CME gap way up at 11,796, but I don't think we're quite ready for that just yet. As you can see, Bitcoin is starting to settle itself in sort of on this middle trend right here. You can see there are two trends within the descending wedge, so we may actually sort of ride on that for a little bit short term, but we are going to eventually hit this resistance up here at around that 7.6, 7.7K if we are able to blast through all of the previous, because obviously, we do have this giant falling wedge that we were in before. Now, also just wanted to point out what Marcel Berger had mentioned. He says, with the stock to flow model in the back of your mind, this chart doesn't look that bad. Big bull flag and still fairly close to the 61.8 Fibonacci level. You guys know the significance and importance of that level, sitting around $7,136. Well, we have been talking about this potential gigantic, enormous, crazy looking bull flag for quite some time, and we do relatively respect the bottoms and the tops. We did just wick down, so could we be looking for a potential retest at least to the top of this? Well, if we were to go straight up today, that's sitting at around the $9,000 level. Will we have a pump to 9K? I don't know, guys. It's possible. I mean, we had a pump all the way from 7,000 and we wicked up at, $10,000 before, basically coming back to where we started. So anything is possible with Bitcoin. One thing I was very happy to see was that we were supported by this historic trend line right here perfectly. It was essentially where the downwards support and the upward support met, and Bitcoin did respect that, and that was good because we were worried about falling any lower than this levels. You were looking at around the 5.8K level support potentially next for Bitcoin. So we were happy to see that we were supported, but Tone Vase came out and he's saying 6 months ago, I told Crypto Man Ran and bet on Bitcoin pulling back to 4,500. The price was about the same, but trending up. Now it's trending down. I'm just as confident today as I was then 6 months ago. So Tone Vase is saying we could be going down to a potential $4,500 Bitcoin. Now give me a second here. Stay with me. We're going to have a look at the chart and see if 4,500 is even a place that Bitcoin looks like it can go. Now Dave the Wave right here, he said, could price go lower than 6.7? Sure, but not by much. And within the buy zone where you'd want to be averaging into, in my opinion, given the potential to the upside, you're never going to catch the bottom. And man, if you were ever waiting to do some hardcore dollar cost averaging right now, now is the time. In fact, guys, I have doubled down. I am accumulating Bitcoin like crazy right now, putting it away in the hodl stash and leaving it because these prices are an absolute gift in my opinion, and obviously in Dave's opinion as well. You can see he says, looking forward, consolidation within the symmetrical triangle and eventual breakout next year, building a solid base recovery period for breakout to new highs and the eventual maniac phase to follow. Now, unfortunately, due to the fact that Bitcoin has pulled back to some of these levels, we might actually, unfortunately, just have a slow grind back up and we might not see any major crazy movements, for the rest of the year. Would you be able to stick around if things got that boring? I would imagine a lot of people would up and leave, but man, would that be the time to accumulate. And you can see finally he says Bitcoin oversold and at the bottom of its medium-term channel due for a bounce. And currently, we are having a bounce. We're struggling, but we are having a bounce. But getting back actually to essentially what Tone Vase was saying real quick. So basically 4.5. Okay, let's actually have a look at this, okay? So basically, guys, what I want to talk about right here is the fact that we do have this what do you want to call it? The historic trend line, okay? Now that's showing over here. This is on Brave New Coin. Keep in mind, it's a little bit different from the other charts. This is a much larger aggregation of data, but essentially you could see that that line is somewhere down around the 6.4K level. Now, obviously this is delayed, because it's Brave New Coin, so don't go by this. We've clearly already touched it. But what I do want you to pay attention to is the pink line down there. Now, that line is the 200 weekly moving average. In my opinion, and I would assume most people's opinions, this is probably the most significant point there is. I'm actually going to switch this to log. Don't pay attention to the lines anymore. They're going to get all screwed up. But you can see over here, this essentially acts as the bottom for Bitcoin. It supported us way back here at the bottom of the end of the bear market in 2015. You can see we had a bounce off at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, wicked below at 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, and finally we started our blast off. And you can see right here, if we zoom in, we literally touched it, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, blast off. So that was 4 weeks that we were supported by it. And currently, I'll give you the exact number right now, it is sitting at $4,889. And also, keep in mind right here, if Bitcoin, let me actually go back to regular. If Bitcoin was to continue down on this trend, eventually this would be moving up higher as well, okay? So by the time that this trend meets here, if Bitcoin was to still respect this, you're looking at a little bit higher, even around a 5,000 to 200 weekly moving level, which tells me we're probably not going to fall below that. But one other thing that I wanted to mention is Anthony Pompliano, Bitcoin bull of the century. He says we are going to $100,000 by the end of 2021. It's possible. He says hysteria over the price of Bitcoin will likely grow increasingly loud until there is true blood in the streets. Not enough blood for you guys? Well, we'll get to that. In a new note to investors, he pointed to Bitcoin's history of forcing weak hands to capitulate through its extremely volatile cycles of new highs and punishing lows. He says when Bitcoin hits extended periods of time in an accumulation phase, it has historically led to violent breakouts that will leave investors gasping for more time so they can accumulate, because once the ship sails, everyone's going to wish that they had accumulated more at these prices. And personally, this is an amazing level, not financial advice, guys, but I am accumulating at these levels. This for me is the golden level. It actually is a golden level, literally, Fibonacci retracement, but He still thinks that we're going to hit 100,000 by the end of 2021. He says the ability to ignore human emotion is a skill sought by early for every investor, but it doesn't only apply to euphoric states. It also applies to fear and fatigue. Bitcoin never sleeps, and neither should you. You should definitely take a nap or two, guys. Sleep is definitely good for your health. But let's talk about fear. Let's talk about fatigue, okay? Because having a look over here, you can see the fear and greed index. Now, currently, today, it is sitting at 17. That is extreme fear. That signals an amazing buy opportunity. In fact, I took the opportunity to plot a few times down here when we actually had fear down about these levels, back here, right here, and all these other ones, right? Now, if you actually did take the opportunity to buy on this number 10, that came out on December 14th, well, my goodness, would that have been an amazing opportunity to accumulate. However, looking at some of these most recent ones, not necessarily would have been the greatest of indicators, right? So right here on July 15th, we had a fear and greed of 16, and the next day Bitcoin literally dropped from 10,800 to about 9,400. So had you taken that signal, probably wouldn't have been the greatest buy. Well, let's see. We also had this over here where Bitcoin was down to around $10,000, and this was over on August 14th. Had you taken that signal, well, the next couple days, it actually did pump, right? August 27th buy signal would have been all right. If you bought right down here, you could have possibly made some trades, but then we did have the massive dip. And then finally, we put in a 12 on September 27th. And for the most part, we basically just went sideways and dumped. So you do certainly have to take this with a grain of salt. But that being said, guys, I do definitely think that we are extremely close to the bottom, or the bottom may have already been in, or there may just be one more leg down to another level. But either way, if you are looking to trade, that's a different story. But dollar cost averaging has been proven to be an amazing strategy. And today, might just be a good day to DCA. Not financial advice, but look, we're going to have to keep our eyes on whether or not Bitcoin can actually break above these levels. But zooming out, having a look at the macro picture, we could see here, yes, it's down the last 7 days, 30 days, 6 months, but with the exception of 2 years ago when we had the major, insane, massive bull run, you can see that we are up today 7.15%. And having a look over the course of the last few years, well, 3 years, we are up 874%. 4 years, almost 2,000. 6 years, 600. 758,000. Do I need to go on, guys? So that is the situation. So one simple question, guys. Wolf of Wall Street's asked, on this day, today, next year, 2020, do you believe that the price of Bitcoin will be higher or lower than it is today? Actually, I'm going to make my own poll as well. I'm going to drop it above. If you guys want, you can participate. Do you think today the price of Bitcoin will be higher or lower? As you guys can see, I already voted higher on the chart because I do think it will be higher. Now, having a look at Bitcoin dominance started to actually slump down. Heard some people screaming for possible alt season starting, and then Bitcoin's dominance actually started going back up again, and we're currently at 68.72 over on TradingView. Now, having a look at the altcoins, some people were asking me about the altcoins, so I'll give a really quick analysis on it. Essentially, we did fall below this level right here, which was our, resistance flip support. So we came down, we did touch the $52.79 billion level, and currently we are trapped between this range. So we would have to get back above 64.3. Essentially for us to be short-term bullish, but then you do want to kind of put in sort of a higher high, so you'd want to actually get above, above this sort of, you don't have to go to the wick, maybe to like 76.36. So that is for altcoins, but Bitcoin is dying. It has to be. Mark Dow said it, so it must be true, right? Well, that's the thing, guys. Whenever Bitcoin tends to take these hits, you do notice mainstream negativity gets out of control. And I actually like what Rhythm Trader basically broke down here. Look at all these different times that they basically called for the death of Bitcoin. The rise and fall of Bitcoin, $2.37. So that's the end of Bitcoin then. $15. The SEC shows why Bitcoin is doomed. $93. Are we noticing a pattern here? Fool's gold. Bitcoin the Ponzi, victim of disinflation, headed for the ash heap. That was at $208. Bitcoin is a joke. At $433. Well, that would have been a heck of a joke to buy in on, wouldn't it? Well, I do think that a lot of the negativity now currently circulating the Bitcoin dump is the reason why we have seen this sort of spike recently in the data. Look, November 20th, we were at a 53, then we went to a 67, and on November 22nd, we got up to 80 over here on search for Bitcoin, and this is in the past 90 days. So I think that maybe the negativity could actually have people searching Bitcoin. What's going on, right? One other thing too, everyone says, oh, it's dying, it's doom and gloom. Are you guys sure about that? Because over here on the network statistics, with the exception of price, everything seems to be doing just fine. All these charts seem to be looking quite healthy. Yes, difficulty has pulled back a little bit. There might have been some minor capitulation as some miners potentially sold. But for the most part, everything's looking healthy. I mean, having a look at the hash rate, we're still putting in higher lows, and okay, we've put in one lower high. Big deal, guys. I mean, so if things get out of control, we'll definitely have a look at it. And of course, Bakkt over here, we have 1,824. And actually, if we give it a quick refresh, we have 1,894. So there you go. Lots of Bakkt volume. And here, Bitcoin lies, just thinking about all the 300 plus times that it has been declared dead. Not to mention also, getting back to Mark Dow, just to point out, he did say gold is tax on stupidity. Bitcoin is a tax on paranoid stupidity. And that was April 12th of 2013. Wow, would have been really stupid if we had bought back then, right, guys? That would have been the worst investment of our lives. But 4 reasons why Bitcoin price is continuing to crash. This is according to I don't know who wrote this article, but essentially BitMEX dumping on the market. Now, I don't trade on BitMEX. I don't use BitMEX. I don't know. Do they cash out instantly to fiat when they collect their percentage? I don't know. I don't trade with them, but that could be a possibility. Shaken confidence after the drop to 7K. Yeah, it's pretty scary watching an asset lose 50%, right? Bitcoin doesn't always respond to macro variables. And finally, Bitcoin whales stocking up before the halving. No, couldn't be, guys. Could it possibly be that the Bitcoin whales are just accumulating at these prices? Well, I know that I'm accumulating at these prices. I know that Angelo BTC said he would be accumulating at these prices. So I don't know, guys. You don't have to do what we're doing, but, having a look over here, there was a 44,000 Bitcoin transfer that took place the other day, showing that the whales are active. Should you be worried? Is this a sell? Well, we'll have to see. Currently, it looks like there's nothing bad happening, but I think the most important thing about this transaction is not that $130 million of Bitcoin have been moved, but I think it's more important that they were moved for a fee of 0.00004511 Bitcoin, which if we come over here and we put this in our chart, that is roughly 33 cents. So when people say that Bitcoin is way too expensive, 33 cents to move $130 million on the most secure network of in the world, I don't know about that, guys. And also keep in mind, there is the importance of it, why we need it, right? We've seen what PayPal has done, right? They stopped servicing, Pornhub and all this other stuff. They've shut down all these other places. You saw Bank of America. They were closing down all these crypto-related accounts, right? So yeah, censorship resistance is something that we definitely need. And I do want to end today's video on a little bit of a discussion that Peter McCormick was having with Andreas Antonopoulos. And he says, why do we need Bitcoin? Because we're headed into the 21st century now with a system of money built in the 16th century and system of banking and finance built in the early 20th century. He put forth his views regarding the depressingly bad situation in Latin America, Africa, Asia, and certain regions in Europe. We've seen hyperinflation over in Venezuela, right? He says the focus of this discussion was how surveillance systems were adversely impacting lives of millions around the world. He also went on to say, cash is deliberately being taken away from us as a means of transaction, and it is a very, very dangerous trend like many of the other control surveillance, authoritarian trends we've seen even in supposedly free and democratic countries. He basically opinioned the point that the next economic collapse will affect cryptocurrencies owing to the presence of institutional interest, but Bitcoin and other digital assets will be recognized as a safe haven once people realize that all centralized systems, inevitably, it's just a matter of time, fail. So my question is, what side of the coin, pun intended, do you want to be on when the you-know-what hits the fan? So, that being said, thank you so much for coming back to the channel. You guys rock. And of course, we have to give away our Ledger Nano S for the day. So, we had 6 videos last week. Unfortunately, yesterday, I could not make a video. I had previous obligations. Sometimes I just can't make a video, guys. So, yeah. So, that's 1 through 6. Generate 5. Okay, so let's see. That would be Friday's video. That was when Bitcoin dumped to the historic lows, the historic trend line. So let's give away a Ledger Nano S. All right. Let's see how many unique comments we have today. 575 unique comments. All right, drum roll please for the Ledger Nano S. Possibility of a ledger? Sure, I'll comment. Isn't that crazy how that works, Matt G? The possibilities are endless, my friend, but you did win today, and that is it for me. Thank you so much. I hope you guys are having a great start to your week. Matt, remember, don't answer any comments below. Hit me up in the official Telegram group. I am an administrator, or you can hit me up in the About Me section, which is, it has my email, my only email that I'll ever use, okay? Anyone else is a scammer. Do not listen to them. Having a look, having some difficulty breaking out here, so the price could be a lot different by the time you see this video. Obviously, we are having some difficulty here. If we're unable to break above this, then we will probably look to retest this low again. If not, well, then like I said, 7.3 is probably going to be the next one. Actually, it's more like 7.35, then 7.7, and well, after that, we'll talk. So thank you so much for coming back to the channel. You guys rock. Hope you're not totally capitulating. Hope you're not totally freaking out. Hope you're not, putting all your money into Bitcoin. I mean, that's crazy, but it is a good time to dollar cost average, in my opinion. Could we go lower? Sure. But, I forget who it was said, essentially, you're not going to get the perfect bottom, okay? No one is going to perfectly time the bottom. The idea is to try to get as close to an optimal buy-in time as possible, and currently, 6.5K, that's good enough for me. Honestly, guys. So that being said, thank you so much for coming back to the channel. You guys rock. You're the reason that I attempt to do this every single day. Sometimes I can't. Be sure to subscribe if you haven't. Also, hit the bell notification. You guys know the drill. That's it for me. Thank you so much. My name's K-Dub. This is Crypto Zombie. Until next time, stay crypto and peace out.